The internet is obsessed with a generational civil war. We blame boomers for ruining the economy. We watch millennials cry into their avocado toast, and we dissect Gen Z under a microscope like they're some fascinating alien species. But while everyone is busy screaming at each other, there's a ghost in the room, an entire demographic operating in the shadows, quietly running the world while dodging the crossfire. Generation X. Born between 1965 and 1980, they are the invisible generation. They don't complain, they don't demand a trophy, and they definitely don't care if you notice them. But under that quiet exterior lies the most fascinating, bulletproof psychology of any living generation. Let's decode it. Let's start with something unique to the X gene. Latchkey Kids. Where does all this grit come from? It goes back to the defining trauma and strength of their childhood. Picture this. It's 1978. You're 8 years old. You walk home from school, unlock the door to an empty house, make a snack, and wait. No smartphones, no iPad, no Ring cameras, no adults to check if you're okay. That empty house taught them a brutal lesson. You can't always count on someone being there. It birthed their ultimate mantra. If you want it done right, you have to do it yourself. And if I screw up, I have no one to blame but myself. Their actions had real-time consequences without any buffer, hardwiring their brains to constantly think 3 steps ahead. This protective armor ties perfectly into how they processed the world. Before the internet, information had a physical cost. You couldn't just Google a tutorial. You had to hunt through library card catalogs. Because knowledge required sweat and time, their brains engaged in deeper encoding. They actually retained what they learned. And that applied to the physical world too. Bike chain slipped? TV acting up? You didn't call tech support. You flipped the bike upside down, got grease on your hands, and figured it out. They built a mechanical intuition, a rock-solid belief that with enough patience and a screwdriver, you can master anything. Speaking of patience, Gen X has a superpower that is nearly extinct today: extreme impulse control. They grew up in a clunky, analog world. Want to watch your favorite movie? Then wait for its screening schedule. It's only shown once a week. Want to see a photo? Drop off the film and wait 3 days. There was no on-demand. Because instant gratification simply didn't exist, throwing a tantrum or demanding things pronto was universally viewed as ridiculous. This forced waiting period didn't just build patience, it made the things they waited for infinitely more valuable. It forged a generation that is quietly humble and deeply understanding. But don't mistake that quiet patience for naivety. Psychologists call it defensive pessimism. Gen X just calls it being realistic. They watch the generation before them preach the gospel of stability, only to witness skyrocketing divorce rates and loyal employees gutted by corporate layoffs. They learned early on that the rules could change mid-game. So, they put on emotional armor. They cross their fingers for the best but fully expect the rug to be pulled out. They know they can't stop a layoff, but they can make sure they're the most indispensable person in the room when the lights go out. It created this weird, cool paradox. They're the original Latchkey Kids independent to a fault because they've been making their own dinner and solving their own problems since the 2nd grade. They'll never ask you for help, but if you're drowning, they're the first ones to jump in. No drama, no look at me social media post, just a quiet hand to pull you up. They have zero loyalty to a corporate logo or a fancy job title. You want a Gen Xer's respect? Earn it with actual competence. If you're an incompetent leader, they have zero patience for you. Generation X might be the last generation that truly knew how to be alone with their own thoughts. It wasn't boredom, they used that time to think things through and solve problems without needing to search for answers on Google. Now, they're watching their own kids grow up in a world that feels like a different planet. It's a world of helicopter parenting and constant tracking, where every little moment is documented and posted for everyone to see. They did it on purpose. They gave their kids the attention and the presence they never had themselves. But now, there's this nagging worry that they might have made them a little too soft or too dependent. To Gen X, being seen isn't a goal. It's a risk. They still believe that if you're standing out in the open, you're just an easier target. Survival meant staying under the radar, and they wonder if their kids will know how to handle it when the spotlight finally turns off. They don't think they're better than anyone else. They were just shaped by a unique moment in history when the old world was dying and the new one hadn't quite been born. They are the bridge generation. They just quietly stand there, bearing the weight, holding things together, expecting nothing in return. And honestly, not caring if anyone notices is the most Gen X thing of all.